Hey Posture Nation Elite, I am here with an amazing opportunity for you. I have Victor Hansen here, the best-selling New York Times author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul, sold over 500 million copies. I believe it's in 54 different languages. He's here to give you some information, some tips on how you can become the expert and get ahead, okay? So I've told Posture Nation Elite just a little bit about you. Take a moment and tell them a little bit more about yourself.
I'm the most blessed guy you've ever looked at. I have obviously sold 500 million books. My goal is to sell 1 billion because if you're going to think, why not think big? It doesn't cost anymore, and the results are phenomenal. And what you get to do is, you know, the richest, wisest man of all time was Solomon, and Solomon, Psalm 72 said, be an influencer of influencers. So obviously he is doing his best to influence you with me influencing you. And what I want to do is influence you to fulfill yourself at absolutely every level of your being. In other words, you know, I say you got to have your purpose, and our purpose with Chicken Soup is change the whole world one story at a time. My spiritual purpose is, you know, to have joyous enlightenment. My physical purpose is to be in total complete health and live 127 years with options for renewal. And the new studies by the smartest man in the world, arguably, is Dr. Ray Kurzweil, head of Google X, and he and I just did a program together in Silicon Valley, but he's the guy who invented nanotechnology, which is, do you see the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yeah.
That's him. He invented all that stuff, but now he's at the leading edge of leading edge, and he's done a lot of stuff. That's not his only invention, but Kurzweil has just written a new book that if you live long enough, you can live forever. And the principle is that if you're taking in really good nutrition, like I just took 58 herbs and vitamins, and you know, I'm doing bioidenticals and all that stuff, and then the next iteration or bridge, he says, is you're going to have a bridge across with the nanotechnology, and the next level after that is a company that Chris and I are part owners of that's going to do, there's a big word, I don't know how they're going to do my languaging today, but molecular genomics. The bottom line is that we're going to change you from the inside out. Just as the whole thing, chiropractic is top down, inside out, and you know, what happens is we're doing monitoring now for the first time in history that you're able to take, you know, a monitoring device like this and something like this, and you're going to know everything that's going on in your body. You could be wearing it as a watch or whatever, but I'll be talking about some of that today. So we're in for the first time, we're not only going to be doing, you know, the 3-finger pulsing and the pulsing of finding out what's happening to you, but we're going to find out what is your total being, and like when you exercise, because Dr. Chris is a great runner, you know, exercise, if you want to be your fittest, is in my weight category and age category, it's 145 for 45 minutes at a time. And I said, wait, now I haven't had a perfect time of doing that because we've been traveling excessively to Asia. And it's hard, boy, you're traveling 20 hours at a time.
Mark, you mentioned the chiropractic. You're obviously, you've had some, there we go. Can you tell Posture Nation Elite just a little bit about your experience and your association with chiropractic? So obviously you have a couple degrees as well.
Yeah, I've got the PhD, and then I got 10 honorary doctorates, 3 in chiropractic from Life Chiropractic, and then we, you know, got from Cleveland Chiropractic, and then from Parker Chiropractic, which is now Parker University, thanks to Dr. Fab Mancini, my close dear friend. Anyhow, I don't know the exact time, let's say 40 years ago, I started getting adjusted. Never heard of it before I got adjusted, and the way I got adjusted first is I'm a runner, and I was out running and I sprained my right ankle. My little dog couldn't bring me home, and I had to hop all the way home, which was really painful. I hit a culvert in what was called Back Bay in Newport Beach, California, where I live. And that night our chiropractic friend came over, and he said, did you x-ray it? I said, yeah. Any ligament damage? No. And he said, it's just a subluxation. And I went in and went, whoa. And he said, stand up, you won't need crutches for 3 weeks. I went, that's cool. And then, you know, obviously we've done Chicken Soup with the chiropractic soul, and we got 5 kids and 5 grandkids, all of whom have been adjusted. The kids get adjusted at birth because I really believe in all this stuff. So we're exceedingly good at chiropractic. If I'd known about chiropractic earlier, who knows? Instead of, you know, I could have been at DC, a doctor of cause.
There you go. Well, with your association with chiropractic, you've obviously had some opportunities to see how chiropractic work, and being a business specialist, what are some strategies, or what is one strategy that you think chiropractors could be doing a little bit better to help them improve on the business side, not so much on the taking care of their patients? We're great at that, but we're not always the best businessmen and women. What's one strategy that you've seen that maybe they could do a little bit better?
I did a set of tapes for chiropractic. When we finished Chicken Soup in 1993, it was going to be a year and a half before the book came out, which is now sped up a little bit, the book publishing business. But I did 3 sets of tapes because I was doing so much work in chiropractic, where I interviewed all the chiropractors that are making over $1 million a year and had cash practices. I'll just give one little example. And Dr. Nikitow, who's in Denver, Colorado at the time, carried a pocket full of rubber bands, and it was such a cool idea because he would sit with somebody and he'd say, put on this rubber band, and when you put a rubber band too tight on your finger, right, it is a tourniquet. And what colors will this turn, Dr. Mark?
Purple, blue,
and
red,
and
white,
and black, and
black,
then it will fall
and
off.
then it's going to fall off.
So what he says is, he says, can a medical doctor cure this? Can a PA, a physician's assistant? Can a nurse? Oh, wait a second, then we'll just go to a massage therapist. Oh, wait a second, we'll go to the pharmacy. Any of those work?
No.
There's only one doctor that can see, and then the wife who handles all the healthcare in the world anyhow, basically anywhere, whether it's Asia, America, or Latin America, or here in Europa. Anyhow, what happens is the only one that can get rid of it is a chiropractor. So you take it off and it starts to flow again, and you get rid of the subluxation, and you come to restore health again, which is that inside out, top down business. And it's wonderful, but it's so good because then the wife doesn't go home and the husband says, oh, the doctor said you got a submarine in you and you got to get rid of the submarine. Well, because the subluxation is, if this is your spine and it's, our friend Dr. John DeMartini says you got to be in line with the divine, with your spine just fine. Anyhow, and he's got such great languaging, my good buddy. Anyhow, it's like a Christmas tree. If you pull one bulb, the whole tree goes up. Well, the same thing here is that, you want your circuitry working.
Absolutely. So we've seen a lot of times that chiropractors suffer from the curse of small business equals being small-minded. We're trying to get them to, and we're talking more so in the business side of things. What is one way that they can kind of shift their mentality to think more like a professional business person like you, or a successful business person?
I ask everyone to get a 3x5 card and start it out, I'm so happy, because you're going to program your mind either to be happy or sad, either euphoric or depressed or garrulous or despondent. So what you want to do is, I'm so happy, and then in my case, originally we said, I'm so happy I'm going to sell 1.5 million books in a year and a half. We did 1.3 million, and then I'm going to so happy I'm going to do 5 million books next year, and we did, and then 10 million, and now where we're at. But the point is the same thing for chiropractic. I am so happy I am seeing patients that love, like, enjoy chiropractic, and then it's got to have a number in there. Are you going to see 1 patient a day? That's too low. 10 a day, too low. What is it you want to do? And I am in the belief, just like, today we got 1,000 people here, and the best of the best in business in beautiful, wonderful Italy. And when I go to China, it's like advertise 10 to 12,000 people, so, and they're all paying $7,000 a year. So the point is, you want to, I'm not getting that, but they are, and I'm not getting paid exceedingly well, but they are getting more. So the point is, you want to have a high volume practice, you want to keep going up, but you've got to keep stretching yourself. And what I love about my 2 friends, doctors, Dr. Krista and Mark, is that what they've done is they've challenged themselves. If you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing. And the laws of the universe is, the first law of the universe is survival. The second law is the law of expansion. The universe, as far as we can tell, for the last 5 billion years, or 15 billion years, sorry, has been expanding. Well, your mind is supposed to expand. Spiritual literature, if you bury your talents, you're wicked and slothful. If you double them every year, you're a good, wonderful, and faithful, so the big guy said. So it is a good idea to decide to expand. And the easiest way is write this card, look at it 4 times a day. I'm so happy I'm seeing, I'll do an arbitrary number of 50 patients a day, 100 patients a day, whatever your number is, but keep expanding that number, and you're going to do better adjustments because now you got the full flow. It's just, and let me just do that. In music, we know the maestro, and because I'm a Danish American, Victor Borga, who was wonderful, said, if I don't play for a day, I can feel it. 2 days, my manager can feel it. 3 days, the audience can tell. Same thing in running. If you don't run and exercise, you feel it the same way.
Absolutely. So that's a great point or piece of advice right there. You have to have your goals, and they've got to be clearly stated, somewhere you can readily see them. What's an additional way that chiropractors can do to do that expansion? What's a tip or strategy they can do to start seeing more patients?
They've got to have a mastermind alliance. That's where 2 or more individuals, 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals 11. are back to back under attack because somebody's going to reject you. Whatever you say, you're going to get rejected. We had 144 people reject Jack and Mark and say, get out of here. Nobody's going to buy those happy little stories. This is the dumbest thing ever. Short stories sold. We're Random House. We'd sell short stories. Or we're Time Warner. We'd sell short stories. Well, they blew it. And we cleaned up. And they said, well, you'll never outsell the Bible. So I did Chicken Soup of the Soul Bible. And we did Little Stories Get You the Big Story. And they did Purple Cover. And I sell 70,000 a week at Walmart. So I'm doing stuff that nobody ever did because you got to keep pushing the edge because your goal is to totally outperform yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, socially, and your enculturation. And that's why, you know, this week my wife and I, other than doing this talk, have spent our time just both of us have been to Italy multiple times, but absorbing this great place and being with new and old friends.
That's amazing. So now to finish up this interview, we're going to do what's called the lightning round. This is where we got 3 or 4 specific questions. Just come back with us with the first kind of thoughts that come to your mind. The first one's going to be easy. What's one book other than Chicken Soup for the Soul, because all of our listeners should already have read that. What's one book that you recommend for them to be more successful?
I'm going to do 3. I can't do one. Number 1 is you got to read Think and Grow Rich because it's good. Number 2, the one that stands on that shoulder is my book, 1 Minute Millionaire, what I did with Bob Allen. It's 2 books in one. It's half fiction, half nonfiction. It gets your right brain, left brain. First book ever that's been number 1 on 2 lists because I thought, what the heck, why not do that? And number 3, I've got a book coming out this spring called The Miracles in You because to be alive is a miracle. I mean, when you figure out a sperm and a zygote, it's 400 million to 1 shot, and it got to hit 8 times the same place. So it's amazing that you're alive, and if you're alive, you've got a purpose because God doesn't make junk, and there's passionate purposes bigger than you are. You know, you're not a mistake. You're not a conundrum. You're here to do something specific. I can't tell you what it is, but you got to write down my definite major purpose is, or God's destiny for me is, and then fill in the blank.
Absolutely. What's the best advice you've ever heard? This one's a little more challenging.
I'm in the business of giving advice and listening to advice, and I'm an addict of studying all my self-help action stuff. If you had to just pick one, you've got to take the self-initiative action, and the 3 words are do it now. And you repeat to yourself that 50 times a day, and you go through it and do it now, whether it's picking up your dirty socks on the floor, whether it's finishing, in my case, a book or an article. And I'm proud to say I've written, I think I'll have this, I got 2 books coming out now, so I have 307 bestsellers, but because I do it now, but I've never missed a deadline. And boy, this publisher, Worthy Press, which I love and I appreciate, they gave me the shortest deadline I've ever had, and I did this book, The Miracles in You, and it's a miracle that is done. It's a miraculous book, and a few people have test read it, and I'll send it out. If you guys write a note to reception@markvictorhansen.com, we'll send you a sample, a couple of chapters, and some of my other books.
We'll make sure we get that link on the bottom of this video, so look for that Posture Nation Elite. What's one investment that everybody should be doing?
Well, I got a vested interest here, but I believe I own one of the fast-growing insurance companies. I also own the fast-growing part of the fast-growing university. But the best investment is obviously always in yourself. Even Warren Buffett says it, and I was just with the richest investor in the world, and Buffett said, it pays compound returns because you got to be working on yourself on a full-time basis, right? And the point here is that you are better than you thought you were. But the best investment you can do is life insurance, and I'm coming from an American perspective that I've talked to them about. Our life insurance is what we call IUL, Index Universal Life. It's basically for the last 28 years, 8% compound growth, which is just phenomenal. If you have a little baby and you save money to go to college starting at birth, we can insure them at 14 days. If you're doing about $200 a month, at age 65, they get $246,000 from age 65 to age 120, because I've changed the insurance industry to expand the policy, because we're all going to live longer, unless you're an idiot. But as long as you're in health, and studying this stuff and taking care of exercise every day and being fit, you're going to live long and prosper, nano. So we got it so you'll have unlimited money, because at some levels, money equals freedom, and what my daddy taught me when I was a little kid was free enterprise means the more enterprising you are, the freer you are. So I say insurance is a backdrop, and I'd say to you and to people watching that have patient load, just get 1 new patient extra month and put that money towards insurance, especially when you're young, and it grows up, it compounds, because compound interest is the greatest miracle because it's a triangle. You know, the seed becomes the apple seed becomes the apple tree, which becomes the apple orchard. And in your future, you want to have an apple orchard so you don't have to work unless you want to, and you'll still work. I mean, I haven't had to work, you know, for 30 years. I was a millionaire a long time ago. So, but I do because I know I'm making, based on the results I've got personally and based on results that, you know, we get thousands of letters, sometimes up to 5,000 letters a day from people that say, wow, you really changed my life. So, or my books changed your life and all that. And it works in places in communist countries like China where I work so much, or in Russia, you know, and you just go, wow. Because remember, I never thought I could do all this. And you know, I was scared. And all of us start out naked, helpless, and ignorant. And you just got to make the decision. Your subconscious makes a provision. And then you start to escalate up. But you've got to be disciplined to decide to go up. Because if you don't discipline yourself up, you automatically go down.
That is an amazing piece of advice. I've never actually even thought about that. Take one patient more a month and set that aside for an investment. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I thought of that just for you.
Thank you very much. So I appreciate that information, and actually I'm going to put that into action.
But if you did that every month, the whole story of Jesus and the prodigal son is, you know, the master leaves 3 people with money, talents they call them. That was the gold of the day. One guy buried him. He's wicked and slothful. You're not here to bury your talent. You're here to multiply it, and it says double it. And that means double it every year. So if you make 50,000 this year, next year it's 100,000. You make 100,000 next year, then it's 200,000. Then it's 400,000 next year, then $1.6 million. But if you're not thinking like that, you can't do that because it's got to be a thought form before it become a real form. And the universe is pliable. It's infinite stuff. And what you got to do is make your impress, because what you impress, you express.
That's incredible. Yeah. What was one of the more difficult struggles that you've had to become a millionaire or to become successful?
I'll do this real quick, and then we got to go. I went bankrupt early in my life. I was 26 years old, and I was building geodesic domes in New York, spherical buildings out of a triangle. Lost $2 million in one day, and I went, oh my God. And I didn't know if I could make it back, but I hid under the covers. I wouldn't answer the phone. I did all the terrible stuff. I was depressed, despondent, disconsolate. But then I listened to a tape 287 times called Are You the Cause or Are You the Effect by my friend Cabot Robert, the Dean of Speakers, and I went, oh my gosh, either you're the creature, circumstance, or the creator. If I created it, I non-create it, recreate it, and go onward, upward, goodward, and Godward, which I've done, and recommend to you.
Thank you very much. Posture Nation Elite, we're so beneficial. We're so lucky to have Victor Hansen here with us. Hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you on the next time.